morning, Miss Wall.
Hi, Ashwini.
Okay, so we're talking about 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
So during 9/11, when that happened, how did you feel?
I was scared.
You were
I was scared. We were living in southern Connecticut, which is about 45 minutes from Manhattan, where two of the planes hit the Twin Towers. And it was all over the news. It was just, and there was so much that people didn't know. So we didn't know if there was one coming our way. I mean, obviously probably not in Connecticut, but it was so close, and everywhere you looked, it was on the news, it was in the newspapers, like online, everywhere you looked, and it was just couldn't get away from it. It was frightening, and I remember exactly where I was. I was going to the doctor, and I had a Suburban at the time, this big car, and I drove into the parking lot, and I heard on the news that a plane had crashed in the Twin Towers. And I stopped my car, and I was in shock, and a guy, like, I kind of blocked him because my car was kind of big, and he was beeping at me, and I couldn't believe it. I just stopped in the parking lot, and I completely froze. It was unbelievable. And you know how people use the word unbelievable, but I couldn't believe it, because our country at the time, we didn't have that kind of thing going on in our soil, and wow, I was really scared.
What do you know about 9/11?
Well, I mean, I was 38, so I know a lot, and I know that it has has put us at war. Since that time, there was a time in my life where our country wasn't at war with anybody, and now since that time we've been at war. And it's so upsetting to think about all the people that have died as a result. So it was just a really scary time.
You said your daughter was in 5th grade
Mhm,
then.
mhm.
So did you go pick her up, and where did you?
Great question. I did. I have 4 children. 3 of them were in school at the time. So it was 5th grade, 3rd grade, and 1st grade. And I picked them up. And a lot of people pick their kids up. I don't know why. I just felt like I needed them with me. Then when I got everybody home, it was so hard not to watch TV. So I didn't want them to see it and be exposed to it in such graphic detail, but it was so hard to turn the television off, because they would learn something else and then learn something else, and I just remember feeling like I really shouldn't be watching this, but I couldn't look away. And then they had a really amazing concert, maybe a week later, to raise money for victims' families and first responders and things like that. So that was kind of cool, but I remember feeling like I should turn the television off, and it was just everywhere you turned, it seems like they learned something else, and it was so foreign, because that kind of thing didn't happen in our country, and it just almost didn't seem real. So yeah, I wanted all my family close to me.
Be with us.
You're welcome.
So during 9/11, how did you feel?
9/11 is pretty powerful for me because I was teaching at the high school at the time. So literally had class, and my window actually overlooked the flight plan or the flight path of all the airplanes. So I distinctly remember, because I had a meeting that morning and I had heard about a building being hit, and like everyone else, we thought it was an accident, because an airplane had hit the Empire State Building many years ago, and so we didn't think anything of it. So as we were watching Tower 1, this is me and other teachers were during my off period, we actually saw the other plane hit. And as soon as the other plane hit, of course, we knew it was a terrorist attack. My heart sank. We knew what was going on at that point. I think what really hit me hard was when the buildings actually came down. And for a lot of my students, because we're so close to DFW, I had a good number of my students whose parents were pilots or worked for the airlines, who were literally emotionally just wrecked because they're worried about their parents, couldn't get a hold of their parents. This is before cell phones and things like that. So it had an immediate impact. And sad to say that by the afternoon, we were actually on lockdown, and we actually had a bomb threat, and we had to stay outside in the stadium. So we spent the rest of the afternoon literally in the stadium. And I to this day, I can literally remember seeing one of my students literally crying because she couldn't get a hold of her dad, who was actually a pilot. So, and then of course the next day is really what got me as well, was where I could look out my classroom window and I saw no airplanes, because they grounded all airplanes for 24 hours, after the incident occurred. So anyway, so it was very emotional for me because of my students, because of their emotions, my emotions, because I knew parents, and just the fact that I knew what type of tragedy it really was.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Coach Antoon.
Hi.
So, during 9/11, where were you?
Well, interestingly enough, I had just moved to New York. I moved to New York on September the 1st, and I was working at the New York State Technology Convention when 9/11 happened.
Cool. So, what was your experience like when the planes hit?
I did not know the planes hit because obviously I was working at a conference, and I heard some people talking about it in the hallway because somebody asked somebody about it, and they said, he was just joking about that, right? And the other guy looked at me and said, no, he wasn't joking about it. And so within 30 minutes, almost the entire conference knew about it. It just kind of turned into a big madhouse, I guess, and everybody was gathered around TVs watching. So, and a lot of those people at the conference were actually worked for the Port Authority, which controlled the Twin Towers. So they were all kind of upset.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Horn.
Hi.
So, during 9/11, where were you?
I was a senior in high school.
So-
So on the morning that 9/11 happened, I was actually at home getting ready for school when the first plane hit the towers.
So, what was your experience?
I had my first class period. It was called College Out, so I was at home. Some of my friends were still at school. My dad was getting ready for work, and I heard him talking on the phone about something that was happening, and so I went out and watched the TV with him, and while we were watching the TV, the second plane hit, and then we kind of knew something terrible was happening. So I still went to school that day, and we kind of watched it all unfold on TV at school.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.